Some people say that truffles smell like the best dirty sheets. Welcome to 10-Minute Travels. With me as always is Phil Freeman.
And with me as always is Shane Patrick. And today we're going to talk about hunting truffles in Romania. And if you want to hear more about that or anything else at 10-Minute Travels, just go to 10minutetravels.com.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
So your mission, other than going to Dracula's castle, Bran Castle, for Halloween, let's talk about the truffles. Because you're traveling with a mutual friend of ours who is just mushroom crazy. It just sounds pretty intriguing. So what's it all about? How do you find them? How did you meet these people that would take you to them? And how was it organized and that kind of stuff?
Well, back up a little bit. The truffle itself, it's a kind of a mushroom, a fungus. It has a symbiotic relationship with certain hardwoods. And we humans have been excited about them since ancient times. The Greeks looked for them. The Romans looked for them. We have a heck of a time finding them. We can use our eyes, but to a human, they don't have any smell when they're growing. Long ago, they learned that you can use pigs, and pigs are great, but there's two problems with them. They like the truffles just as much as we do, so they'll often eat them before the handler can get to them. The other thing is the pigs will dig down even a couple feet for a ripe truffle, and that can damage the layers of mycelium and all the stuff that's growing together in that symbiotic relationship. So pigs are still effective, but the world has moved away from using pigs, and now they use dogs. The dogs will still eat them. They like, if it's a small enough one, they'll swallow it before the handler gets there. But they'll only take the ones right off the top of the ground, and not do the digging, the damage. And so the guy that we went with, he was Romanian. His Hungarian was better. He had a little bit of French and he had no English. His dog was a German Shorthair, and he also had a Vizsla, which those are of German descent as well. And then you had a bunch of Alaskans, and we had a Brit who lives in Abu Dhabi, and a woman from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So it was a very international group walking through the woods. Pardon me. And so he explained a bunch of stuff to us that we didn't really catch because he was a chatterbox. The guy was talking the whole time. We met him at a restaurant, a Traveler's Inn that had first started having overnight guests in 1248. And some of the buildings were original. And we were going to have a truffle-themed dinner there that evening. And we arranged this all with the magic of the internet before we left the States. So this guy meets us, and he's driving a beat-up old Suzuki Samurai, all rusted out.
Is this his main work, or is this a side project?
This is his deal. This is what he does.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Suzuki Samurais are famous because their wheelbase is super short, and they flipped a lot at highway speeds. They're a pretty exciting vehicle, but they're perfect for those roads there. Interesting thing about his is it had a little Mac sticker on the back, which I just found ironic. You know, a $2,000 laptop sticker on the back of a $500 car. And while he was standing outside introducing himself, his car was bouncing back and forth because he had those two dogs and also a Jack Russell that was just a Moscoto, right? Is that the word for pet?
In Spanish.
Yeah.
Mascot.
I don't know that. Yeah. That dog didn't do any mushrooms. That was just his dog.
But he came along for the fun, but he didn't participate so much in finding them.
Yep. And so, we stared at him kind of confused, and the chef who was going to be cooking our dinner basically said, yeah, just follow him. This is the guy. And we drove not very long, 8 minutes or something, through pasture land and past a vineyard and down into this kind of a hole that is the little stream running through, and then a beech forest. And beech trees are hardwoods, similar to like oak trees. Really beautiful. The forest was kind of bizarre because there's no understory. Like you could gallop a horse through that and no problem. You wouldn't have hit any trees. There's a lot of possible reasons that could be overgrazing, overharvesting, problems with too many earthworms, all sorts of stuff that our friend, the mycologist, was telling us were possibilities that we couldn't find out from our man because he didn't speak any English. And
although he never stopped talking.
No, he never stopped talking. If he wasn't talking to us, he was talking to the dogs, saying "bunde, bunde, bunde," which is find it in Romanian. And I've hunted with dogs before and done some other things with working dogs. So I knew what to look for, like when the dogs found what they were looking for. Right, they changed their behavior, the way they hold their head, and they start zigzagging more and whatever. So, that one, Maya has one, right? And so he goes running up to the dog as she's kind of pawing at the leaf litter, and she brings him the truffle, and he gives her a little piece of sausage. And the first one that she brought him was about the size of a golf ball, and he had given us a brochure that said the possible truffles we could find. There's like 9 species that grow there. White truffles and black truffles are what the culinary world wants. And the same ones that grow in Romania are the ones that grow in France and Italy. And they sell for $300 or more $100 a pound.
How big is a big one?
There were some bigger than my fist, so bigger than a baseball.
Almost a pound.
Yeah, pretty dense. Maybe, 3/4 of a pound. I mean, it's hard to tell, right? But like a lot of money. You're holding a lot of money. And this guy's driving a broke down car. He's happy. He didn't seem to mind one bit, right? So the first one comes back and he says a lot of things. They catch très bien. This is a very good one, right? And he passes it around all of us and we smell, and I can't smell anything.
What kind was it?
It was whatever. Who knows? He told us.
He did tell you.
Right. And for those of you who are really into mushrooms, you know that without a microscope, it's almost impossible they're so similar, right? That it could be a white one, it could be a black one, it could be a mix of those two, it could be neither. That's just the way. It's a fascinating field of study that way. Well, we all smelled it, couldn't smell anything. And then he took his mushroom knife and just scraped the outer skin of it. And then from feet away, you could smell it. And I can smell your next question is, what did it smell like?
What did it smell like?
It's really hard to describe. It's funky, savory. Some people say that truffles smell like the best dirty sheets.
Okay.
It's a funky.
It smells the same before
naughty.
Cooking and after cooking?
Yeah, a lot of when you cook them, you can lose a lot of flavor. Well, we can get to that in a second. I just want to kind of stay on the hunt in my mind here. But so we all smell it, and then Kate goes to hand it back to him, and he says, no, you hold it. That's what we think he said. And so that kept happening, and a dog would bring one, and then he'd show this one's different than that one, maybe it's a little more golden hued or whatever. One of them he got very excited about. He kept saying, très bien, over and over, and he was very animated. And then he cuts it open and we go to smell it, and it was caustic, like gasoline type smell. I was like, whoa, this is a good one? I was confused. But we put it in the bag. And then, a little later, the dog brings a different one, and he's saying something raton. And I was like, I said, très bien. And he said, no, raton. And I was like, well, that means mouse. And he says, yeah, Mickey Mouse. And he showed us where the mice had chewed on it. And so then when the dogs weren't looking, he just tossed that one over his shoulders. Probably $40 that he just whipped behind us. Who needs it? And then, we did this for a couple hours, and it was magical. The leaves were falling, and we'd had blue skies before that, but it was a pretty gray day. It was just a magical fall day. And, then we followed him back to his truck. And as we were doing that, there were all these armored vehicles going by. And what we thought, and then we confirmed it later, was that there's a U.S. Army base really close to there, that those were all supply trucks going to it. And then he led us back to our place where we were going to have dinner, and we handed him the bag of truffles, and he said, no, you keep. And so we got about a gallon of truffles that he just gave us. And he didn't sort through them and take the good ones or he just you guys paid me to find truffles. These are truffles. And, Kate has some friends that have gone to Italy and France for the same sort of thing. And, they don't let you keep any of them. And you have to pay more than we paid for our whole group per person to walk along. So this whole Romanian truffle hunt thing is really, really under the radar. The idea of tourism it's just not really there yet. They know about travelers, but they don't really know about tourists.
That was Shane Patrick, and we were talking about hunting for truffles in Romania. If you want to learn more about that or anything else on 10-Minute Travels that we talk about, please visit 10minutetravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure. Like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.